Hi everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to share 10 quick and easy ways to fill in your journal pages. I went back through really quickly in my 2 journals for this year and thought about 10 different topics that I generally include in my pages, and then I wrote down some examples of the different days that I did those particular topics. And I wanted to share them because, like I said, sometimes you get stuck on what should I include in my day and how am I going to fill this whole page. So I hope this video helps you, and I hope it inspires you and just shows you how fun it can be to fill in a page. Let's start with the first one that I came up with, which was shopping, which I think we can all relate to shopping and how sometimes that is a very easy topic to include. So one of the first things I wrote was in January, I got a new Target bird, and I grabbed a picture, wrote down the name, and just, a little blurb about the bird. At the end of January, I wrote down how I got some new jeans. I'd asked some friends on Instagram and I was like, what kind of jeans can I get? And so that took up a good chunk of the day. Another thing that's a little different is adding to my wish list. It's related to shopping. It's another quick way to kind of write down a paragraph about what is on your wish list, what is currently like in your Amazon cart, your Target cart, whichever. For me, this was talking about how for next year in 2026, I want to make sure that I get some more Valentine's and love themed shirts. And if you are a journaler like me and get new markers, sometimes it's really fun to take a swatch or add a swatch, I guess, of the new markers that you get. I did this same thing in July, because like I said, I took a quick look at my pages, just trying to find some examples, but here's the other Tombows that I got. A whole big list of the markers. So obviously this was a day of a big sale, or I just decided to really splurge. So moving on to another example that I have is talking about how I finally used some birthday wish list cards. And of course, this is just a smaller section, but again, it could take up a whole page if you wanted it to about your wish list. It really could. Like, you, instead of the 1, 2, 3 about the day, you could do 1, 2, 3 about what is on your wish list. Because I know I'm not the only one constantly adding things to my wish list. Okay, next up is cooking. Now, I know that I write about cooking and our menu and our meals a lot more than the examples that I found. So it was very interesting that I only found a few, but I'm still gonna share it because I know that I write about cooking a lot. So I wrote about a cooking fiasco, and it took up a good portion of the page, but you could include anytime you have an issue with a recipe, it didn't go right, it went well, or if you have a change in your diet, you could include that. Over in March, I included a family dinner and again, a new recipe, and I just talked about that. Definitely something that I do want to include more, like a menu. Since I don't use these pages up here, the weekly spreads, I don't use them, but it would be nice at the beginning of the week, I could include the menu for the week. Or just like a rough idea of what, the different days are going to include, because my family is not known for sticking to a menu. Like, we know roughly what's going to happen, but like saying this day is going to be this, that's not going to happen. It would be similar to like steps. So Monday through Sunday, and then including what you had on that particular day. And you could just wait till the end of the day to include the menu. Over in June, I talked about breakfast is a quick and easy. That's a different way to like switch it up. Instead of talking about dinner and what you made for dinner, you just talk about breakfast. And then celebrating the fact that I actually cooked. So that is another topic that you could include under cooking, that you actually cooked. The disasters, the new recipes, sitting down as a family, lots of different options for this particular topic. Now this one I really love, and I need to do it more often. That's kind of what I discovered. Today's notifications. So like anytime that your phone dings, you take a screenshot so that way you can remember for later. But later on that day, you can write down the whole list of, you know, what the notifications were on your phone. And you can start to notice how many it is. I only found one other example, but like I said, I want to include this. Maybe this coming week I'll do that. But I have another list of notifications. I mean, it was just, it's so interesting to see how many notifications I get during the day. I think I did this again in Week in the Life, which is a scrapbooking project, in-depth project, and I would take screenshots of my notifications. So this is what I did, is I took the screenshots, and then in a separate project, I was able to include a list of the different notifications. So again, I think I might include that on this coming week because I'm overdue for a notifications list like that. Here's a fun one that I really love. On busy days, I like to just do a running list or a schedule, a time schedule of everything that happened from the start of the day, 8 a.m., all the way till when I go to bed. And it pretty much takes up the entire day. So I just use this space to stamp, or I could add stickers, washi, and a photo. And it quickly becomes one of my favorite pages because I love it. Here's another one in April, at the end of April. I used stamps and I did like 3 rows of Tombow marker right there, and then more stamping here, and it just took up a really big section, and I love it. You get to see how kind of the days change and what's included on any particular day during a particular season. So it's nice to see maybe once a quarter to put in the agenda. Over in May, I did it again and used a vertical washi strip, put today's agenda. And this one I only did from, you know, like a work day perspective. So I started when I left the door for work and taking the kids to school, and then coming home, and that's it. But again, if I'd gone the rest of the day, it probably would have been more. And over in this second one, there is one that I really love how it came together. Today's agenda, and it took up a really big section from the time I woke up all the way till when I went to bed. And again, I wrote really small, and I didn't like offer a lot of explanation about each of those. But like you saw with the one in January, you could take up the entire page for an agenda. Okay, so the next one is to-do list or to-done list. I tend to do both in my journal. I'm not always the best at finishing to-do list, so to-done list really make me happy. And I just put a running list of everything that I got done, whether it was with my kids, house chores, or if it was something creative. Like YouTube or scrapbooking. It's just my today done list and just put it right there. Over here, I took up this last little section so that way I could make a list of everything that I got done. And then I said teaching the day who's boss, and put a Coffee Monster Co. sticker. At the end of the month, I did another to-done list over here, included some washi tape strips. And I really like that. It always celebrates those little victories and just getting things done and accomplished. Over in April, based off of this Hands Off My Dinosaur calendar piece, that was my colors, and this is my to-done list. So like I said, all of these ideas are very easy and just will help you finish those pages and add in those details. And I'm sure I could do a part 2, a part 3. So let me know if that interests you, because I can definitely do that. So this is another to-do list. This one I probably wrote this down on a piece of paper first and then decided, hey, I did a good job. So I'm gonna go ahead and include that down here, and that is what I did. I have one in July. This was a Sunday cleaning day, and you can see it took up a good portion of my page. And I write small. Like I said before, I write small. So if you write bigger, it could take up a lot of space. It could be your whole entire page. And I'm sure if I wrote bigger, then it could take up a lot of space. And actually, one of my favorite ways to take up a lot of space, and I just recently did this type of design again, was to take my Tombows and do like a big circle on different topics about the day. And then it just takes up the whole page and I'm done. Quick, easy, and we're done. Because that was definitely a day that I did not want to journal, but I wanted to get something down on the page. Another to done list, and look, made dinner, but right there, a 2 done. And then one more for the list. This one you guys I think saw in a process video, but this was my 2 done list. Okay, moving on to the 6th one, which is Happy Mail. I know that that has to be an easy one for most of us, if not all of us. But over here, sometimes I put in Happy Mail stickers, sometimes I don't, but I included a running list right there of some Happy Mail that I had received. And then getting like really special mail, I was able to save some ephemera and I added that in. My dear friend sent me Luna the Love Bat, so I had to include that. So that's always really special when you get special Happy Mail and you can include a whole paragraph about it. Into March, I had a few different things that came, so I just decided to write out a fabulous new and then put in cat toy in a different pen just to give it a little more emphasis. So I like how that one turned out. And again, I have the Happy Mail sticker, but this time I added some Tombow behind it. More Happy Mail from a friend. I got bracelets from a friend in Florida, so I included a little bit about that. This time not using any stickers, but instead just making a box with my pink Tombow. Whenever I get new washi from the Coffee Monster Co., I love to include samples, and that's what I did over here. And then just said first washi wizard subscription and just had a little swatch of each of those. And then of course based my colors for the day off of those samples. Some more Coffee Monster Co. tape. I included it here, and I don't know if this one was new, but I know these ones were new, so I had to include them, and I love it. And sometimes I will make a big section for Happy Mail. I think I got some new stickers from the Coffee Monster Co., so I decided to use one of the new stickers and of course the washi tape there, and again pulled my colors from there. Example of Happy Mail, another bird. You guys saw another bird back in January for shopping, and this is the same type of thing. It could be, I put it as Happy Mail because I had it shipped to me, couldn't find it in the store. So including those little pieces of Happy Mail. Okay, the next one is work stories, and I'm hoping that most of us have jobs that we would like to document and can document. And I am fortunate enough to have a job where I can tell some stories. I don't always use the kids' names, obviously, but I have work stories here. And I just do little snippets of what happened during the day. Another fun thing that I tried in February, and I should do it again because I haven't done it in a while, but sometimes when I'm at work, you know, with kids, they want to know things, and we're now in the day and age where we can know things. So I put, let's look it up, and it was fun to look back on this. So I looked up poison oak because I had another another teacher asking me about poison oak and how it was transferred. The second was identifying the middle portion of an orange. A student wanted to know what that was called. I think it was an older student. I said I took a photo of a bug to try to identify it, and the answer was a leaf bug. So I think this is another one that I should include again, because like I said, I'm constantly looking things up or just like double checking different things. Over in March, I put today at work instead of like talking about something that happened in the morning or whatever was going to be like a main story, because that's usually what I started with. Obviously, I didn't really have like a main story for this day, so I just decided to go with work stuff. Over in April, this one was a different one to try. I doodled 3 different topics at school. You know, something was wrong with the bathroom, finding ladybug eggs, and then reading a funny story about Chester the chicken. So that was a fun one. And again, I haven't tried that one in a while, so it's nice to see, you know, these ideas come back, and then I can write them down and like remind myself, hey, try this one. Over here, I did not really say work stories, but I talked about how the kids are doing animal reports and how the pumpkin Jack was doing right here. So a little bit different. It doesn't say work stories, but it does relate to work. And then over here, the last day of school, you can't tell it's the last day of school, but it was field day. And I, of course, talked about all the walking that I did and what was going on for field day. And then, of course, I don't see any work stories during the summer because I don't work during the summer, but I get right back into it the first day, and I put work life, and it's pretty much my whole page about going back to work and getting back on a schedule. And then one more example, because really I could do so many examples about work. See some more school stories. So sometimes instead of saying work, I say school, but that is a big one for me. So hopefully there's a big category for you when it comes to work, or even if it's just talking about your kids. Like if you're in a stage of life where you're taking care of your kids and they're really little and saying funny things, you could, of course, do that instead of work stories. So the next topic is currently, and that can cover so many different things, right? There is a lot of different, currently, like what am I doing in my life? Like what are the different words that I can use? So sometimes I can just do a big list on the side. Sometimes I take up the whole page, as you can see here. I probably didn't have a lot going on during this day, so I just picked 3 currentlys, currently making, trying, and organizing, and then just discussed those various topics. Over here, this was a weekend. My son had a game, so that took up a good section right here. And usually when I wind up going horizontal like that, I have some columns. And whenever I have the columns, I think of either little stories I can include or the currentlys. So I did reading, eating, and cleaning. And then my page is done. Easy. And then my page is done, and I really love this horizontal with the columns. Over here, I did directly a currently list, making, scheduling, finishing, helping, and drinking. I don't think that there was a lot going on. I wasn't feeling so great, so I wanted to make sure I included something to kind of finish up the page. And I love currently lists. I love them. And a few days later, you can see this isn't really like a currently, but I did some different stats, like with steps and working out and number of books for the year. So that's something a little bit different. And same thing over here. It says today's glimmers. Glimmers being the little spots of joy that you found throughout the day. And you could definitely include those. Then there's reading and watching. Those 2, reading and what I'm watching on TV, definitely easy ones to put in and include in my pages. Over here, this was the start of the week in the life scrapbooking project I was telling you about. I followed a pretty similar formula for the whole week where I did a currently list over here and kind of the stats. The only day I didn't was my birthday, obviously, so I feel like I should have done an insert for maybe these, and then I could have kept with the whole design for the whole week, but that's okay. And see, so there's more currently there as well. Moving over to this journal, I have the 19th. This one isn't directly a currently list, but it really hits everything. So it hits the weather, a special story with my daughter, work, how did the afternoon go, movement, dinner, and then late night. So it hits all the topics of a day and it makes it easy to fill it in. The only thing is I wound up with this extra space. So I looked in my screenshots, I found one I had, put it in there, thought about what am I eating lately, and it was my protein bowl. And that made the page finished and done. One last example is over on this October page. I did a really long list right here. I think I highlighted these words. I highlighted after I wrote the words, so the Tombow smeared it, so I think I need to rewrite it. But it's eating and then learning, exercising, drinking, listening, helping, enjoying, working out, and ordering. So currently lists are definitely a go-to. All right, number 9. Number 9 is a favorite too. It is talking about the weather because weather is constantly changing, right? And for me in California, it feels like our weather is very much a yo-yo. So up here, I have soaking up the winter sunshine. So I just talked about it and how I really enjoyed being outside and just kind of sunning like a lizard, listening to my audiobook and also getting in some steps. Over here, I started the day with need to do a better weather check because I needed another layer because it was actually colder than I thought. So that wasn't fun for that particular day. Then I had some rainy day stickers, so I decided to use those and talk about the topsy-turvy weather. And it was just interesting how it felt like spring, but also winter, so it kind of felt like both. And then I got really mad at spring and how it was just hormonal. So I said, spring is just hormonal. And it's lovely for all the blooms and after a cold winter, but then I said it can be such a brat because it's unpredictable and it's hard to keep up with. So, I mean, that took up a really big section of my page, and that's just sometimes how it goes because I'm constantly talking about the weather. And then over in this one, I talked about a heat wave and I had a cat that was melting on the ice cubes. And then over when we get into fall, I said the weather felt fall-ish with cloudy skies and a chilly wind. And I got to wear pants, so I was very excited. Last one we will talk about is holidays. You can think about the wacky holidays. You know, I know there's a ton of wacky holidays out there. My daughter is constantly looking them up and telling me about them. I found some fun facts about Groundhog Day, so I doodled a groundhog and then included a few fun facts about Groundhog Day. A friend sent me a hilarious meme or like graphic to say that she was thankful for me, and it said friends are like panties, and it was hilarious. So I included it for Valentine's Day. Start of the seasons are also a great way to go all out. So for spring, I grabbed all the clear stickers of flowers, die cuts, and then did a floral frame right there and just talked about how I'm excited that spring is here. Of course, including about my son, that took up a half the page right there, and just discussing, you know, what happened during the day for him, our family celebration, and then of course a photo with him. And then when it's my daughter's turn in August, I of course include her photos right there, and then I just played off the colors we were wearing. She likes Pusheen, so I grabbed that as well. And then you guys kind of already saw my birthday. It's over here. So love to include birthdays for each of my family members and myself. So because I work with kids, we of course have to celebrate Earth Day. and we made collage pages with different plant catalogs. And I took a few home to make my own collage. And so I made a little earth, and then I included all the stickers down here. And then I even got the word of the day, which was Terraphil. It means a lover of the earth. So that was a fun holiday that I don't normally document, but it was really fun to have a different holiday documented. And this is another different holiday that I don't normally document, but it was Friday the 13th and everybody was talking about Summerween. So I decided to grab a free wallpaper and use it, and then play off of that to make a really fun, bright, colorful page and just talk about Summerween. And I had all the best intentions of celebrating Summerween, but just didn't get to it because I went on a big trip after this. And then 4th of July, I did die cuts, and then just a little list right there about the holiday. I'm still wrapping up October, but this is how Halloween is looking. I have a collage and then die cuts, and then I'll probably just do a bullet point list. But that is holidays. So that is the 10 categories, you guys. I know that this was a longer video, but I really wanted to help the beginners and even the people that have been journaling for a long time. I wanted this to be really helpful in helping you to figure out how to journal when you sit down at the end of a long day. And I really hope that it helped you guys. I'd love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. All right, have a great day. Bye.